tells us that the Greek mythology was ruling, it was not in the same manner that it would be responding. Just like the formula of the Karl Marx. It says, when the laws of production, the rules of the production is different from the people, from the workers, from their tools, they're not in proportions, then there is revolution. In the same manner as the people, you can apply this formula right even to the matter of religion. When the needs, the natural need and the necessity of people are not responded and fulfilled by doctrine, by a religion, by an ideology, there will be an revolution. And this revolution did happen in Greece, and all the philosophers became martyred. So, as we look at, we see this religion of Moses and the Israelites. They were a small group of people. It did not really proliferate itself. It did not go outside of the Israelites. It did have effect here and there. For example, King Cyrus of Persia, a powerful king that we all know, the first human right was enacted by him, and it is in the British Museum, where he gives the freedom of religion, freedom of work, freedom of religion, and I think freedom of language. He did go and finish Nebuchadnezzar to free the Jews, and we know the Jews. Definitely they went and talked to him. They talked to him, and the king was affected by the profound, ideology at that time. You have to imagine, at that time of the Hebrews, and the third kings, I think, of the Achaemenids, actually marries a Jewish wife. He had a Jewish wife. I think personally, these ideas that King Cyrus came about, it must have come from the influence of the Torah, or the Old Testament as we know it. This is my personal opinion. Some people don't like to hear that, but I am firmly a believer of that the Jews of the time, which they were the prophets of God, minor prophets of God, they must have approached King Cyrus to tell him about what's happening to them under the Nebuchadnezzar. They found him to be the good king and righteous, therefore freed the Jews, and they talked to him. As in the Bible, there are a few chapters about him, and because they did, these Persian kings, they did repair the Jerusalem. 4 times they did it. So we're coming back to see that the Greek mythology, it comes around some 500 years before Jesus Christ, and let's say about 1,000 years after Moses. And now we have 2 sets of groups of people here. Those who did not have a religion in Greece, and they develop science as we know it, let's say. Ideas of the people who are not divinely, revealed or anything, formally, to speak, matter of speaking, they were not prophets, they were not revealers of the Word of God. But they were extremely intelligent in being able to even know the circumference of the earth. And this was amazing. And we know that Greek mythology was absolutely dying at that time, and people didn't like it, the scientists and whatnot, and Socrates became a victim of it. So, but they are coming kind of in a contact, in close, in a yin-yang, as the Chinese say, or in Quran, as it calls it, zoj, means a pair, of religion and science, gradually are forming, like a proton and neutron, the proton and electron. 2 power gradually are finding themselves, out of the chaos. Now we're having formations of pairs of ideas, of balancing power. So, but it took 1,500 years for the religion of Moses and many, many minor prophets to be able to develop and evolve, just like some of the cacti in Arizona, that some of them, they give flower only once in a year, some of them, like sugar cane, once in 20 years. Finally, the religion of Israelites, the religion of Moses, the Ten Commandments, the whole book, the Old Testament gave a fruit. It became edible by all the people of the world. Until then, it was not proliferated, it was not universalized. Who was that? That was His Holiness Jesus Christ. From the religion in the Old Testament, He bloomed with a great ideology. For the first time, if you could say, Adam brought the criteria of good and bad, and Noah talked about metaphysical power, and Abraham said there's only one God, and Moses brought the laws from God, Jesus brought love from God. Now we're seeing a depth of the human emotion, the human qualities. For the first time, someone like Jesus Christ actually martyrs for the sake of goodness, innocently. And this was the call for the Roman, because they had not seen anything like it. They saw Spartacus before, but he had a plan. His plan was freedom and emancipation, and essentially he was not an egotistic man, but it has a cause. Cause was selfish. I want to be free, and we want to be free. And that is what they were fighting for. But Jesus wasn't even fighting for that. He was free. He just came to teach. And for the first time, such a great teacher died and was killed by his own people. At this time, Roman, let us look at this better and better. They find it very great. And gradually, Romans turned into Christianity. As you know, the Israelites at that time, many of them, of course, were the founding power and the founding members of the Christianity, and they took it to Rome, as you know, through Paul and others. They came in Iran even, I think they're called Nestorians, Christians. At this time, the movement also was happening in Iran in the line of Zoroaster, which was the last of them. It came sometimes about 500 years, I believe, before King Cyrus. But King Cyrus is not written that he was a Zoroastrian. He was following a kind of a Mithraism, which is an imported version of the Hinduism to Iran. Zoroaster was not still known yet at that time. But it is important to note that how like a river, a smaller river joined the bigger river, Zoroastrianism in their divine book, which we don't know what they are at the moment, very little, but three Magi's, which is Majus otherwise, or Mag, English we say Magi. These are Zoroastrian priests. They are totally Persian, Iranian, Aryan race. They are not Semitic at those days. Iran was Aryans only. They must have found, not one, three of them, that a king is born, a divine king is born in where? In Palestine. Where is Iran? Somewhere in Azerbaijan, somewhere in today Iran. We are looking at months and months and months of walking to get to Palestine with those days. But these people were adamant to see Jesus Christ, and they did see Jesus at that time. And it shows that they had divine sources. Otherwise they couldn't find Jesus. Now, as Christianity, as I said before, there was Hebrews, religion of Moses, and they were Greek, but they were not in contact very much. But when it turned into Christianity proliferated, it becomes all over the Rome. Now the Greek method, the science, the department of the philosophy comes in contact with Christianity, and something strange happens here. Now they're coming close. You all heard that Holy Roman Emperor King Charlemagne said, there's nobody here to be able to speak or write. I mean, speak, of course, but write or read. We need some kind of a, thing. So he allowed the philosophy of the Greek into the church. Scholastics, they call them. So they came in, but just like, let's talk digital, just like a virus. The philosophy of the Greek worked on Christianity and just killed it. Priests got totally afraid that these books are too deep, the book of Plato and Aristotle, and Apollonius and whatever, that this book of Bible cannot handle it. Therefore, they had to just, we went to a stage in the history of Christianity, it's called Dark Age. People were totally, completely brought to it. They could not read, write, and whatever. They forbid these books into the church and whatnot. Caused a lot of problem. Now, this issue continues, and from the Moses, which branched out, as we said, to Christianity, this time another branch from Abraham, which was before Moses. And this is another amazing story, that how Abraham from northern Iraq decided to go all the way in Saudi Arabia, a place that absolutely a desert, an arid land, just totally no place to be. But it is written, he goes there, and there he left his son Ishmael there with the mother Hagar. And from this line right now, all of a sudden Muhammad appears some 600-700 years from Christianity. Muhammad essentially has correlated very well to Christianity, and especially to that of the Moses. Very similar to that. But at this time, just like speaking digitally, Islam was a more better version. Let's say like Windows 95, let's say, was the Christianity, Islam was Windows 98. Meaning, the Greek philosophy did not act as a virus, and it was compatible to Islam. Because one of these caliphs, he started Beitul Hikmah, the house of wisdom or something in Baghdad at those days. And he paid money, all kind of it, to translate all this Greek book into the Arabic language. Analytic of Aristotle was called Analutica in Arabic version. These books came in, and now we have a barrage of the great thinker and philosopher in the Islamic era. Of which you know Ibn Rushd, I don't know, you know Avicenna, Razi, Biruni, Farabi, many of them have written big, you know, monumental books. And totally science was in the hand of the Muslim. For example, Abbas ibn Farnas, he understood totally the principle of the flight, how it should be written. Ibn Haytham, he created what you know as camera obscura. Funny, I was in Los Angeles and I went to the observatory and I saw the camera obscura, but it wasn't written that Ibn Haytham did this. Essentially, from an outside light into a dark room, if there's a hole into the ceiling, the light from outside bring the picture on a surface in that dark room. A kind of a camera. And if you go on and read more, you can see so much of science, of department of the science and sociology and even library, all kind of it. Muslim developed in so much of it. But as Islam and Muhammad and the book of Quran was very much close to that of the Moses, it would not be able to proliferate. It was right among the Muslims of the time, in Arabs. The only way they could distribute this and sending it around was to fight and forcefully bring the people in. Islam at this point got divided because Omar was a nationalist, and he believed that you would go fight, conquer the nations under the name of Islam, kill the men or sell them as a slave, and fertilize women, and there you have a half-breed Arabs who speaks Arabic, who is Muslim. And the successor of Muhammad, Imam Ali, was disagreed with this. And in this discussion, he would say, no, we are not Arabs and our cause is not Arab, we're Muslim. We should go and teach people. And his argument was all the time that look at the king of Ethiopia, where Muhammad sent envoys to them and the king converted Islam. And from Iran, we have the second batch of the, you could see after the three Magi's, there's one other one in the Islam too. His name is Salman or Solomon, whichever way you like to call him, but his actual name in Arabic, Persian is Salman. In Islam, they call him Salman.